Have you ever wondered how many World War II films vanished before audiences ever discovered their quiet power? Picture forgotten reels covered in dust, hiding stories of courage, betrayal, and haunting truth. What if some of the most gripping war dramas ever made slipped through history without a sound? Today we dig into the shadows to uncover 12 World War II films that everyone missed, but absolutely should not have ignored. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew. Number 12. The Silent Mountain, 1974. The Silent Mountain arrived with almost no noise during its release, leaving barely a ripple in the world of war cinema. Some believed it was too quiet, too bleak, and too painfully real to ever fit into the mainstream. Others whispered that it was simply out of place in a decade obsessed with bright color spectacle rather than solemn battlefield tragedies. Yet those who discovered it felt they had stumbled upon a secret doorway into the forgotten corners of the Great War in the Alps, where danger hid behind every ridge and every shadow carried a story. Set high in the icy Dolomites, the film follows a young Tyrolean man who becomes trapped in a brutal struggle between Austrian and Italian forces. The battle scenes unfold like a dream soaked in snow fear and the creeping dread of mountain warfare. Every moment feels heavy with silence, as if the mountains themselves have witnessed horrors far older than the soldiers who dared to climb them. The cinematography gives the world an eerie, unearthly glow, almost like an old photograph trying to come back to life. But here is the twist. The Silent Mountain faced whispers of political discomfort. Some claimed it portrayed the conflict with too much sympathy for both sides, while others argued it revealed truths that local governments preferred to keep buried beneath patriotic narratives. As a result, the film had little support in distribution and quickly vanished from theaters. Behind the scenes, the production struggled against freezing conditions, avalanches, and a haunting series of accidents that fueled rumors about a curse on the set. Crew members later admitted that they felt the mountains themselves were pushing back against the intrusion of cameras' lights and human ambition. The legacy of the Silent Mountain is quiet but powerful. It resurfaced decades later as viewers began searching for forgotten war films that captured raw human struggle. Today it stands as a chilling reminder that the harshest battles are often fought far from glory and far from the eyes of history. In the end, its silence becomes its loudest truth. Number 11. Saints and Soldiers, 2004. Saints and Soldiers entered theaters like a small echo lost among thunderous war epics. It did not have the explosive marketing or the towering budget of its rivals, yet those who watched it felt an unsettling intimacy that larger films never achieved. It became known as a quiet masterpiece, a film that dared to whisper instead of shout and revealed horrors through human eyes rather than spectacle. The story centers on a small group of American soldiers trapped behind enemy lines after a massacre during the Battle of the Bulge. These men are broken wounded and forced into uneasy alliance with a British intelligence officer who carries information that could change the direction of the conflict. Together they cross forests filled with snow, endless danger, and the looming threat of unseen German patrols. The atmosphere is bleak, haunting, almost frozen in time, as if the world itself has stopped breathing. Some whispered that Saints and Soldiers stirred controversy for its portrayal of moral conflict rather than patriotic certainty. Instead of showing heroes marching toward glory, it exposed fractured souls desperate to survive. This made certain distributors uneasy and resulted in limited release. Some regions refused to screen it, arguing that audiences wanted triumph, not trauma. Behind the scenes, the filmmakers faced harsh conditions, including snowfall so heavy that entire scenes had to be rewritten on the spot. Equipment malfunctioned, stunt performers were injured, and a major fire during production destroyed props and forced costly delays. Yet the cast continued with raw conviction, giving the film an authenticity that viewers still praise today. Over time, Saints and Soldiers developed a dedicated cult following. Its human focus, timeless message, and stark atmosphere allowed it to rise from obscurity. It is now celebrated as one of the most emotionally powerful, low-budget war dramas ever made. Its impact lingers like footprints in deep snow, reminding us that the most unforgettable stories often come from the shadows, not the spotlight. Number 10. A Midnight Clear, 1992. A Midnight Clear drifted into cinemas with the quiet sorrow of a winter wind. Critics admired its courage, but audiences barely noticed it. Perhaps it was too gentle, too thoughtful, or too unwilling to turn war into spectacle. Yet beneath its soft, snow-covered exterior lies one of the most devastating anti-war statements ever put to film. Set in the final months of World War II, The story follows a group of young American soldiers sent on a reconnaissance mission into the dense, icy forests near the German border. The men are exhausted, frightened, and far too aware that the war is reaching a breaking point. Instead of enemy monsters, they encounter German soldiers who are equally weary and desperate to surrender. What follows is a fragile truce, a quiet human connection, and a heartbreaking descent into tragedy when misunderstanding shatters the peace. Some viewers argued that the film was too sympathetic to both sides. Others whispered that its pacifist message clashed with the heroic war narratives popular at the time. As a result, distributors hesitated, and the film reached only a limited audience. Filming was plagued with tension. Several cast members fell ill during the brutal winter shoot. Equipment froze, makeup cracked in the cold, and cameras fogged so often that entire scenes had to be redone. Yet every challenge strengthened the haunting authenticity of the final cut. A Midnight Clear eventually found new life through home video and late-night broadcasts. Over the years, it has earned recognition as a forgotten gem, a quiet film that dared to look war in the eyes and whisper a truth many preferred not to hear. The story lingers long after the credits roll, reminding viewers that even in darkness, humanity flickers like a fragile flame waiting to be protected or extinguished. The number 9, The Ninth Day. 2004. The Ninth Day arrived quietly and slipped past most audiences as if hidden by the very shadows it tried to expose. Some called it too bleak for mainstream viewers, while others said it was too brave for its era. Yet those who experienced it understood they were witnessing one of the most unsettling looks at moral pressure and psychological torment ever presented in a World War II narrative. The story follows a Luxembourg priest briefly released from the Dachau concentration camp under a horrifying condition. He must return home and convince his bishop to support the occupying regime. If he refuses, his family and fellow prisoners will suffer. If he complies, he becomes a tool for a brutal system. The film unfolds like a slow tightening grip around the throat where every moment grows heavier and every choice carries silent dread. Some whispered that The Ninth Day stirred political discomfort in regions where historical wounds were still painfully open. There were accusations that the film challenged long-standing narratives, forcing viewers to confront collaboration guilt and spiritual compromise. As a result, distribution became limited and several territories avoided promotional campaigns entirely. Behind the scenes, the production faced emotional strain. Actors and crew had to work inside reconstructed camp environments so realistic that several members reported feeling physically sick. Lighting setups collapsed under winter conditions. Unexpected injuries halted filming. At one point, the director feared the project would be abandoned entirely. Yet the cast remained devoted, turning every scene into a quiet explosion of humanity and fear. Over time, The Ninth Day resurfaced, as scholars and cinephiles began seeking overlooked films that tackled moral complexity during the war. Today, it is recognized as a chilling study of conscience pressure and the terrifying way ordinary people can be pushed toward impossible choices. It stands as a reminder that sometimes the most powerful battles are fought not with weapons, but within the human spirit. Number 8. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, 1983. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence launched with high expectations due to its powerful cast, yet somehow drifted into the realm of forgotten war cinema. Some viewers struggled with its poetic tone, while others found its emotional intensity overwhelming. But within its layered story lies one of the most haunting portraits of cultural collision and psychological warfare ever filmed. Set in a Japanese prisoner of war camp in the South Pacific, the film revolves around a fragile connection between a British officer and a Japanese commander. Their relationship becomes a battle of wills and identity, as each tries to understand the other through duty, honor, and unspoken tension. Meanwhile, a fellow prisoner played with devastating sorrow undergoes a psychological unraveling that exposes the crushing weight of captivity. Every scene feels soaked in heat, sweat, and unspoken despair, as if the island itself is watching and waiting. Rumors surrounded the film from the moment it premiered. Some whispered that it portrayed prisoners and captors with too much nuance. Others argued it challenged national myths by showing both cruelty and compassion on every side. As a result, certain regions hesitated to screen it, fearing backlash from audiences who wanted clear heroes and clear villains. Production faced chaos almost daily. Tropical storms destroyed sets. Equipment rusted overnight. Cast members collapsed from heat exhaustion. A major scene had to be rebuilt after a fire tore through the camp set, shocking the entire team. Yet the filmmakers pushed forward, determined to capture authenticity, no matter the cost. In the years that followed Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence slipped into obscurity despite its artistry. But slowly, it gained a new audience drawn to its emotional depth and fearless approach to war psychology. Today, it stands as a forgotten masterpiece, a film that reveals how conflict is not only fought on battlefields, but inside the hearts of men. Its final echoes leave viewers questioning pride, guilt, and the fragile boundaries of humanity. Number 7. The Big Red One, 1980. The Big Red One arrived with a reputation as both ambitious and misunderstood. Critics praised its raw honesty, yet audiences seemed unsure how to interpret it. Maybe it was too rough, too stripped down, or too unpolished for an era when war films leaned toward spectacle. Yet beneath its rugged surface lies one of the most authentic portrayals of soldier life ever committed to film. The story follows a group of infantrymen fighting their way from North Africa to Europe, guided by a hardened sergeant whose soul carries more scars than his uniform. The film moves like a soldier's memory, drifting through chaos, humor, horror, and the strange, quiet moments that sit between battles. It refuses to glorify war. Instead, it presents it as something relentless and cruel, a force that reshapes every man it touches. Controversy surrounded The Big Red One from the start. Some whispered that the studio interfered with the editing, slashing nearly half the footage and leaving a version that felt incomplete. The director fought publicly, claiming his film had been sabotaged. As a result, audiences saw only a fraction of the intended story, and many walked away confused, not realizing that the deeper narrative had been buried in vaults. Behind the scenes, the production endured its own hardships. Filming on multiple continents stretched the budget thin. Weather destroyed shooting schedules. Several actors were injured during battle sequences that used practical explosions at dangerously close distances. Rumors spread of arguments on set when exhausted crew members pushed back against the intense pace. Years later, the lost footage resurfaced, leading to a restored cut that revealed the true vision behind the film. The legacy of The Big Red One transformed overnight. What was once overlooked became celebrated as a raw, emotional memoir of real wartime experience. Today it stands as a testament to survival brotherhood and the stories soldiers carry long after the guns fall silent. Number 6. Defiance, 2008. Defiance arrived with a strong cast and an inspiring true story, yet somehow drifted beneath the surface of mainstream attention. Some believed it was overshadowed by louder World War II releases, while others felt its quiet, reflective tone did not match the explosive style audiences expected from war cinema. But hidden within this overlooked drama lies one of the most powerful stories of resistance and survival ever brought to the screen. Set deep in the forests of Eastern Europe, the film follows the Bielski brothers who rescue Jews fleeing persecution and build a secret community hidden beneath the trees. Instead of traditional battlefield heroics, Defiance focuses on perseverance, unity, and the fragile hope that flickers even during humanity's darkest hours. We watch as families gather under makeshift shelters, as sentries guard frozen paths, and as fear threatens to overwhelm the fragile society forming in the shadows. Every step carries the weight of desperation, yet every moment of connection glows with human strength. Some whispered controversies rose during its release. Critics argued over historical accuracy. Certain groups feared the film challenged established narratives about resistance. A few regions hesitated to promote it, believing audiences might not be ready to confront the complexities of survival outside the familiar heroic mold. As a result, the film received less attention than expected. Behind the scenes, the challenges were immense. Filming during brutal winter conditions led to frostbite among extras and crew members. Heavy snow destroyed carefully constructed sets, forcing entire sequences to be rebuilt overnight. Actors struggled emotionally as they reenacted real tragedies, while surrounded by cold silence and dense dark forests. Despite the hardship, the production pushed forward, capturing striking visuals that echoed the harsh reality of wartime survival. Over time, Defiance grew a dedicated following who recognized its emotional resonance and historical significance. It resurfaced as a quiet but powerful reminder that heroism is not always found in battle, but in the determination to protect life when everything seems lost. Its legacy stands firm today, whispering that even in the deepest forests, hope can grow against impossible odds. Number 5. Soldier of Orange, 1977. Soldier of Orange stands as one of the most gripping yet strangely overlooked wartime epics ever produced. Despite being acclaimed in some circles, it never reached the worldwide recognition it deserved. Some audiences found its blend of patriotism, romance, espionage, and identity too shifting and unpredictable. Others simply did not notice it due to limited international promotion. Yet those who discovered it realized they were watching a masterpiece of emotional tension and moral complexity. The story follows a group of Dutch students whose lives are shattered when World War II engulfs their homeland. Each friend chooses a different path: resistance, collaboration, espionage, or escape, and the film unfolds like a web of intertwining choices that shape their destiny. The narrative moves through daring missions, coded messages, secret landings, and heart-wrenching betrayals. Every scene feels alive with suspense, as if the audience is following real individuals through real danger. Rumors of controversy surrounded Soldier of Orange from the moment it premiered. Some critics claimed it portrayed collaboration too honestly. Others argued it exposed uncomfortable truths about national divisions during the occupation. As a result, certain regions downplayed marketing, and international distribution was unusually limited. This kept the film hidden from many viewers who would have embraced its depth and tension. The production itself was filled with turmoil. Weather shifts ruined outdoor sequences. Waves destroyed camera equipment during a major coastal scene. Actors were injured performing stunts that pushed the limits of safety. One explosive set piece had to be reshot entirely after a misfire scattered debris across the crew. Yet perseverance prevailed, and the final product became one of the most ambitious war films ever made in the Netherlands. Over the decades, Soldier of Orange regained attention through special screenings and film studies programs. It is now considered a national treasure, a brilliant examination of how war fractures friendships and reshapes identity. Its emotional weight lingers long after the credits fade, reminding viewers that courage and betrayal often walk side by side in times of conflict. Number 4. To End All Wars, 2001. To End All Wars arrived with a message of spiritual endurance that confused many audiences seeking traditional war action. While critics admired its sincerity, the film struggled to find its place among larger, more explosive titles of the era. Some argued it was too introspective. Others felt it was too painful in its raw emotional honesty. Yet hidden behind this misunderstanding is a film of profound depth and rare humanity. Based on true accounts, the story unfolds in a brutal prisoner of war camp where captured Allied soldiers endure torment, forced labor, and psychological cruelty. But instead of focusing solely on suffering, the film centers on the prisoners' attempt to maintain dignity through education, unity, and the search for inner strength. Scenes shift from bamboo cages to dense jungle to makeshift classrooms built from scraps of hope. Every moment feels heavy with fear, yet brightened by resilience. Whispers of controversy circled To End All Wars because it dared to explore the spiritual dimension of survival. Some claimed it promoted the idea of forgiveness too boldly. Others argued it softened historical brutality. Distribution companies worried that audiences might not embrace a film that showed men wrestling with faith instead of firepower. As a result, promotional efforts were minimal, and the film faded quickly from mainstream attention. Behind-the-scenes production challenges mounted. Filming in humid jungles caused equipment failure, sickness among cast members, and exhaustion that slowed progress. Several stunt scenes went wrong, leading to injuries that forced delays. A major flood destroyed props and forced the crew to rebuild entire sections of the camp. Yet despite these obstacles, the team crafted a film overflowing with sincerity, emotion, and truth. Over time, To End All Wars resurfaced as viewers sought hidden gems with philosophical depth. Its legacy continues to grow as one of the few World War II films that dares to show inner transformation alongside suffering. It stands as a reminder that even in the harshest conditions, the human spirit can rise beyond fear, holding tightly to dignity, wisdom, and hope. Number 3. The Thin Red Line, 1998. The Thin Red Line arrived in theaters during a year dominated by larger, louder war films, and it was instantly overshadowed. Some viewers found it too quiet, too philosophical, or too dreamlike for a World War II narrative. Others argued it was a masterpiece that audiences simply were not ready to understand. Beneath its meditative surface lies one of the most haunting explorations of war and human nature ever created. Set during the Battle of Guadalcanal, the film drifts between the perspectives of soldiers who wrestle with fear, memory, longing, and the strange beauty of the natural world surrounding them. Instead of focusing solely on combat, it reveals an internal war that rages inside every man who steps onto a battlefield. Lush green hills become arenas of terror. Gentle breezes become reminders of life slipping away. Every whispered thought feels like a prayer or a confession. But controversy followed the film closely. Some critics said it lacked patriotism. Others accused it of being too sympathetic toward universal human suffering instead of promoting heroic narrative. Many viewers expected non-stop action and felt bewildered by the film's poetic tone. Rumors spread that entire storylines had been cut during editing, which left even the cast surprised when they saw the final version. Behind the scenes, the production faced turmoil. Actors trained intensely for months, only to discover their roles had been reduced or removed. Weather delays stretched the schedule. Filming in harsh island conditions caused exhaustion and stress among crew members. There were even reports of disagreements over the film's direction as the production fought to balance realism with introspection. Despite its rocky beginning, The Thin Red Line grew in power over time. Critics eventually praised its fearless emotional depth. Viewers began to recognize its profound meditation on humanity, nature, and the unspoken cost of war. Today it stands as one of the most spiritually resonant war films ever created, reminding us that battlefields do not only claim bodies, but also reshape souls. Number 2. Tora Tora Tora, 1970. Tora 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 entered theaters with ambitious goals, yet faced confusion from audiences and critics alike. Some expected a patriotic spectacle. Others assumed it would be one-sided, glorifying one nation over another. Instead, the film delivered a remarkably balanced reconstruction of the attack on Pearl Harbor, which led to mixed reactions from viewers who were unsure how to interpret its unusual approach. The story unfolds with precise detail from both American and Japanese perspectives, showing the long chain of decisions, miscommunications, warnings, and political tensions that led to the infamous attack. Rather than presenting clear heroes and villains, the film exposes the flaws, humanity, and desperation on all sides. It becomes a chilling reminder that war often erupts not from a single moment, but from countless small failures and tragic misunderstandings. Rumors of controversy haunted the release. Some viewers believed the film treated the attackers too respectfully. Others argued it criticized American leadership too openly. This unusual neutrality led to marketing fears, which caused limited promotion in certain territories. The film never gained the massive attention its scale deserved. Behind the scenes, production was chaotic. The budget ballooned. Multiple directors were replaced during the shoot. Large-scale aerial sequences required such complex coordination that filming stalled repeatedly. Several planes were damaged during stunt work, and one crash nearly shut the operation down entirely. Crew members described the set as a battlefield of its own, with tension rising as delays continued. Despite these struggles, Tora Tora slowly earned recognition for its authenticity and fairness. Historians praised its attention to detail. Aviation fans admired its practical dogfight sequences. Over time, it resurfaced as an essential war film, one that dares to show that even monumental events are driven by flawed human beings. Its legacy stands strong today as a reminder that truth is often far more complex than myth. Number 1. Grave of the Fireflies, 1988. Grave of the Fireflies is one of the most devastating wartime stories ever crafted, yet it never reached the mainstream status it deserved. Some assumed it was a simple animated feature and overlooked it. Others dismissed it, believing animation could not handle the weight of real human tragedy. Those who experienced it, however, discovered a story so powerful it left audiences silent long after the final scene. Set in the final months of World War II, the film follows two siblings struggling to survive after losing their home and family during firebombing raids. They wander through ruined cities, scorched fields, and abandoned shelters, searching for food, hope, and a sense of belonging in a world turned cold and merciless. Each scene unfolds like a heartbreaking memory, capturing the fragile innocence of childhood, crushed beneath the weight of war. Controversy surrounded the film due to its emotional intensity. Some critics argued it was too painful for younger viewers. Others whispered that it exposed the suffering of civilians with such clarity that it challenged official narratives of wartime endurance. As a result, several regions hesitated to promote it heavily, fearing the emotional impact might overwhelm audiences. Behind the scenes, the creative process was filled with sorrow as artists studied real accounts of survival. Storyboard sessions left team members in tears. Animators struggled to portray the devastation with accuracy while maintaining a sense of quiet dignity. One major sequence had to be reanimated entirely after months of work when the director felt the emotional tone was not captured fully. Over time, Grave of the Fireflies emerged as a global masterpiece. It teaches that war is not only fought by soldiers, but endured by families, children, and the forgotten civilians who navigate destruction day by day. Its legacy grows stronger each year, reminding viewers that some truths are too important to be ignored. It remains a beacon of empathy, pain, and unforgettable humanity. War stories often fade like smoke drifting beyond memory. Yet these films remind us that forgotten tales still shape how we understand courage, loss, fear, and hope. Which hidden story spoke to you the deepest? Share your thoughts, explore more unseen histories, and join us again as we uncover the shadows behind the past. Like this video, subscribe for future journeys, and tell us which era we should explore next.